One of the most immediate questions still unanswered after an army of mercenaries led an armed uprising against Vladimir Putin's Russia this weekend is what happens to the Wagner Group?
In Rostov-on-Don, there's now little sign of the city's brush with an armed Russian rebellion. These tank tracks among the only reminders of the many Wagner fighters who rolled into town and took control here.
We know Yevgeny Prigozhin's march on Moscow was a fast failure. Within 24 hours, what looked like a potentially violent insurrection suddenly stopped. Prigozhin seeming to agree to exile, having his forces, tens of thousands strong, reverse course in exchange for all charges against him of mutiny being dropped. And there was this, an audio recording posted on Prigozhin's social media account just this morning.
Мы шли для демонстрации своего протеста, а не для свержения власти в стране.
Not quite an apology, but certainly an attempt to explain. Then, late this afternoon, Putin's defiant address to the nation.
Они потирали руки, мечтая взять реванш за свои неудачи на фронте и в ходе так называемого контрнаступления. Но просчитались.
I'm going to explain what all of this tells us about Prigozhin's future, the future of the Wagner Group, and how it became so indispensable.
Я представитель частной военной компании. Наверное, слышали, ЧВК «Вагнер» называется. У вас есть кто-нибудь, кто может вас десятки срока отсюда из зоны вытащить? Я вас живыми забираю. Но не всегда живыми возвращают.
It's said the vast majority of Yevgeny Prigozhin's private army, maybe 80%, are prisoners who've been offered a new start. If you serve for 6 months, you win your freedom. If you run, you get a bullet in the head. Prigozhin's band of mercenaries, the Wagner Group, has become critical to Putin's regime. It is powerful, effective, ruthless, and gives Putin international reach without putting his own forces in harm's way. But that's also part of the problem.
I think some, certainly the military, have always had a dislike for Wagner, overpaid specialists who come in to do the dirty work in Africa and the Middle East. I mean, that's what it was created for, deniability.
The head of the Wagner Group, Yevgeny Prigozhin, has just released his first audio message since leading Saturday's revolt.
Несмотря на то, что мы не проявляли никакой агрессии, по нам был нанесен ракетный удар. И сразу после этого отработали вертолеты. Около 30 человек, бойцов ЧВК «Вагнер», погибли.
Prigozhin's 11-minute message today was almost entirely backward-looking, a chance to justify his violent march over the weekend. He claims Russia shot first.
Мы сожалеем о том, что мы вынуждены были наносить удары по авиационным средствам. Но эти средства бросали бомбы и наносили ракетные удары.
This is important because the extent to which Russia sees Prigozhin as a threat may very well dictate what happens to him next. According to the terms of his exit deal, the Kremlin has said all charges of leading an armed rebellion against Russia would be dropped. But there's conflicting information here. According to Russian state media, citing a source close to the Prosecutor General's office, the criminal case against Prigozhin did not stop. The investigation continues. We are left to wonder whether this is just a case of the system needing to catch up to a fast-moving scenario, or whether Prigozhin's legal future is indeed in doubt. But there's also the matter of his exile to Belarus. We don't actually know where Prigozhin is right now. His last public appearance was in the Russian city of Rostov-on-Don after having taken it over and then leaving. But Prigozhin will know Belarus is no safe haven. it has long been a close Russia ally.
And moving from Russia to Belarus is like moving from the ground floor of the Gambino family mansion to the first floor. That's it. I mean, you can be reached there, you can be killed there. Lukashenko will not be standing in Putin's way for that.
If I had to put money on it, I would say he's going to get Trotsky'd. I think he goes into exile in Belarus to continue to run Wagner, and somebody stabs him in the back of the head. Sure, Putin can say to Prigozhin, hey, you're fine with me, buddy, but, somebody's going to, Medvedev, or not him, but you know what I mean? Someone's going to say, the boss wanted him whacked, I'm going to whack him.
Prigozhin not only believes Russia has failed to support him, he believes he's being erased from existence. You see, Putin wants to put all groups like Wagner on contract, and he repeated this in today's televised address.
Сегодня у вас есть возможность продолжить службу России, заключив контракт с Министерством обороны или другими силовыми органами.
Even those who took part in the weekend uprising would be forgiven, effectively folding them in some way into the existing Russian military command structure. This would be a huge loss for Prigozhin, and that he thinks the Russian military, under Putin's most senior leaders, is incompetent. That's salt in the wound.
Если бы действия 24 февраля 22 года во время начала спецоперации выполняло подразделение по уровню обученности, по уровню моральной собранности и готовности к выполнению задач, как ЧВК «Вагнер», то, возможно, спецоперация длилась бы сутки. Мы показали уровень организации, которой должна соответствовать российская армия.
That claim is important. To suggest that if he were in charge, Russia would have captured Ukraine within days is either an incredible show of strength through one of the world's most powerful strongmen or a deep insult.
I think the Wagnerites on the battlefield will have a choice of signing a contract with the government or leaving. That's it. There will be no third option. This signals the end of Wagner's intervention in Ukraine. It appears that part of this solution was to ensure that Wagner will be able to continue its contracts in Africa and the Middle East.
Come July 1, we'll find out whether Wagner is going to just cease to exist.
But remember, Prigozhin still has reach. He was celebrated in Rostov-on-Don as a hero to cheers of Wagner is strength. He has money, he has connections built over 3 decades as one of Putin's most trusted and capable operatives. According to CNN, Wagner is still actively recruiting in several major Russian cities, including in St. Petersburg. And even Russia's own foreign minister, Sergei Lavrov, says Wagner's operations will continue in Africa, where they have played an increasingly central role in long-standing internal conflicts. Headlines like these may explain why. How Russia's Wagner Group funds its role in Putin's Ukraine war by plundering Africa's resources, and Russia's Wagner Group accused of using rape and mass murder to control an African gold mining town.
There's no indication of what Yevgeny Prigozhin's plans are, where he is, and what is going to happen to his Wagner Group.
But we'll see whether he resurfaces or not, whether he's still useful for Putin or not. He never forgives people. He never blames himself. He never admits failure.
For all the mystery of this story, one thing is clear. Yevgeny Prigozhin was one of the most powerful, influential figures in Russia. That he may have made a fierce, calculating enemy in Vladimir Putin means it's very difficult to do anything but guess where this goes next.